It's something that dawns on you with the most ghastly, inexorable way.
King Charles III doesn't just wear the crown. He oversees a trillion-dollar empire that makes him the richest monarch in modern history. From staff who squeeze exactly 1 inch of toothpaste onto his brush to inheriting $500 million tax-free, his trillionaire life operates beyond comprehension. Let's dig into it. The richest monarch in modern history. When King Charles III ascended to the British throne on September 8, 2022, he didn't just inherit a crown and a title that had been passed down through generations of Windsor bloodlines. No, what Charles inherited was something far more substantial, far more intricate, and far more valuable than any single piece of jewelry or any historic palace could ever represent. What King Charles III inherited was access to a financial empire so vast, so sprawling, and so incomprehensibly wealthy that attempting to put a definitive number on its total value has proven to be an exercise in frustration for financial analysts, royal watchers, and investigative journalists alike for decades upon decades. The phrase trillionaire life might sound like hyperbole at first glance, like the kind of exaggerated language that tabloid newspapers splash across their front pages to generate clicks and sell copies. But here's the thing that most people fail to understand about the British monarchy, and about King Charles III specifically. The royal family's collective net worth is estimated at around $28 billion as of 2025, encompassing crown estates, properties, art collections, jewelry vaults, and countless other assets that have been accumulated over centuries of imperial rule. And that $28 billion figure, that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of the true wealth that the monarchy oversees. The notion of a trillionaire life stems from the fact that the royals oversee a trillion-dollar system, including state-owned assets like the Crown Estate, which generate significant revenue but are not personally owned by the monarch in the traditional sense. This distinction is crucial because it allows the royals to enjoy unparalleled privileges, unparalleled access, and unparalleled luxury without the direct financial burdens faced by private billionaires who must actually purchase and maintain their own assets out of pocket. Now, let's talk about King Charles III's personal wealth, because this is where things get genuinely interesting and genuinely complicated in equal measure. According to the 2025 Sunday Times Rich List, King Charles III's personal net worth stood at £640 million, approximately $850 million, marking an increase of £30 million from the previous year's £610 million. This valuation positioned him as the 238th richest person in the United Kingdom, which might not sound particularly impressive until you realize that this figure makes him considerably wealthier than his late mother, Queen Elizabeth II, whose fortune was estimated at £370 million to £500 million at her death in 2022. But wait, because the story of Charles's wealth gets even more fascinating when you dig deeper into the investigative journalism that has attempted to uncover the true extent of his financial holdings. A more comprehensive 2023 Guardian investigation estimated King Charles III's private fortune at £1.815 billion, approximately $2.3 billion, using expert valuations and including assets under beneficial ownership, those from which he derives personal benefit despite nominal crown ties. This breakdown includes truly staggering numbers: £142 million in investments consisting of shares, stocks, and savings from duchy payments, £330 million in private properties like Balmoral, valued at £80 million, and Sandringham, valued at a whopping £250 million, £27 million in racehorses alone, £100 million in a philatelic collection, which, for those unfamiliar with the term, means stamps, £24 million in art, £533 million in jewelry, and £6.3 million in vehicles. The discrepancy between these estimates, the conservative $850 million and the more expansive $2.3 billion, arises from differing methodologies in how royal wealth is calculated. Conservative estimates exclude crown-held assets, while broader ones account for the king's effective control and tax exemptions. highlighting the challenges in transparently assessing royal wealth in any meaningful or definitive way. What makes Charles' financial story particularly remarkable is understanding just how long he waited and prepared for this moment. At the age of 73, he was the oldest person to accede to the British throne, after having been the longest-serving heir apparent and Prince of Wales in British history. Think about that for a moment. Charles spent over 64 years as the heir apparent, from 1958, when he was just a young boy, until 2022.
Bring up her family. Bring up her family.
That extended preparation period allowed Charles to do something that few heirs to any throne in history have had the opportunity to accomplish. He transformed the Duchy of Cornwall from a historic but somewhat sleepy estate into a billion-dollar portfolio through sustainable investments, innovative business ventures, and shrewd financial management. Prior to becoming king in 2022, his net worth was estimated at around $100 million, primarily from his management of the Duchy of Cornwall, which provided an annual income of $20 million to $30 million through rents, agriculture, and sustainable ventures. Then came the inheritance. Forbes estimates that he inherited $500 million upon his mother's death on September 8, 2022, in assets like estates, art, and jewelry. And here's the kicker that separates royal wealth from ordinary wealthy people's wealth. These inheritances were tax-exempt under a 1993 agreement for monarch-to-monarch transfers. No inheritance tax, no capital gains assessment. Just a smooth transfer of hundreds of millions of dollars worth of assets from one generation to the next, completely untouched by the tax obligations that ordinary British citizens must navigate when their parents pass away.
I speak to you today with feelings of profound sorrow. Throughout her life, Her Majesty the Queen, my beloved mother, was an inspiration, an example to me and to all my family. And we owe her the most heartfelt debt any family could owe to their mother, for her love, affection, guidance, understanding, and example.
But Charles's wealth didn't simply appear overnight upon his mother's death. His financial journey has been one of steady, calculated growth over decades. In 2023, following his inheritance from Queen Elizabeth II, his fortune had risen to approximately $600 million to $770 million, incorporating those tax-exempt assets like private estates. In 2024, it increased by about £10 million to £610 million, driven by prudent financial management and duchy profits, and the 2025 jump of £30 million, nearly $40 million, to £640 million was attributed to investment growth, property value surges, and additional duchy income. This growth trajectory is particularly impressive when you consider the historical context. Charles III became the richest monarch in modern history through financial deals negotiated by the Windsor family with politicians over centuries, relinquishing political power in exchange for retained wealth and privileges. It's a trade-off that has served the royal family extraordinarily well, even as the monarchy's political influence has diminished to near symbolic levels. The realization of his unusual position dawned on Charles slowly over the course of his childhood and adolescence. When asked about when he first understood that he wasn't just an ordinary person, Charles provided an answer that was both revealing and somewhat melancholic.
It's something that dawns on you with the most ghastly, inexorable way.
That gradual awareness of his unique position, coupled with 7 decades of preparation, shaped Charles into a monarch who arrived at the throne with a clear understanding of both his responsibilities and his financial resources. And those resources, as we've established, are substantial beyond what most people could ever imagine or comprehend. Inside the king's extraordinary daily life. To truly understand what it means to live a trillionaire life, we need to step inside the daily existence of King Charles III and examine how this extraordinary wealth translates into actual lived experience. Because here's the truth that most people don't fully appreciate. being King Charles III isn't just about having access to palaces and private jets and priceless art collections. It's about existing within a system so meticulously organized, so precisely calibrated, and so thoroughly staffed that every single moment of every single day has been anticipated, prepared for, and optimized to an almost absurd degree. King Charles III maintains a disciplined daily routine that begins early and often extends late into the night, reflecting his work ethic and commitment to health. He typically starts his day around 7 to 8 a.m. with breakfast in the dining room, consisting of homemade bread, fresh fruit, and juices, prepared with organic ingredients. A habit emphasizing sustainability and simplicity that aligns with his decades-long advocacy for environmental causes. But here's where things get genuinely fascinating, and perhaps a little bit eccentric by normal human standards. Personal travel habits include valets preparing items like toothpaste squeezed precisely 1 inch onto his brush, and traveling with custom amenities such as his own toilet paper and a breakfast box of organic products. Yes, you read that correctly. The King of England travels with his own toilet paper. The King of England has staff members who squeeze exactly 1 inch of toothpaste onto his toothbrush every single morning. These details might seem absurd, even comical, to ordinary people who squeeze their own toothpaste and use whatever toilet paper happens to be available at their destination. But they illuminate something profound about what it means to live within a system designed to eliminate every possible friction, every potential inconvenience, every minor annoyance from daily existence. Official duties commence at 10 a.m., involving engagements, meetings, and reviewing government dispatches in a red leather box, with sessions continuing throughout the day without breaks for lunch, which Charles frequently skips to maximize productivity. Afternoons may include tea if meals are missed, and evenings often involve writing letters until 4 a.m., a long-standing practice driven by his passion for correspondence and problem-solving on issues like climate change.
And I do have very happy memories of childhood.
At 76 years old in 2025, King Charles III's fitness routine plays a central role in his lifestyle, contributing to his resilience during health challenges. He exercises twice daily, incorporating squats, pull-ups on a bar, and other strength-building activities to maintain upper body strength for daily tasks and overall vitality. These habits persisted unbroken through 2025, even amid cancer therapy, helping him handle a demanding schedule that included 25% of the royal family's engagements. Speaking of that demanding schedule, let's talk about the numbers that define a working year for Britain's monarch. In 2025, King Charles carried out 533 royal engagements, his busiest year since 2019, and just enough to move ahead of Princess Anne, who had topped the list of hardest working royals for several years in a row. The King's diary included 3 major state visits to Italy, Canada, and Poland, alongside many events across the United Kingdom.
King Charles has finally done it. After years of being beaten by his hard-working younger sister, Princess Anne, the King is now officially the hardest-working royal of 2025. He achieved this while undergoing weekly cancer treatment, which makes this milestone even more remarkable.
That last detail bears repeating and emphasis. Charles achieved the status of hardest-working royal while simultaneously undergoing weekly cancer treatment. Whatever one might think about the institution of monarchy or about Charles specifically, that level of commitment to duty in the face of serious illness represents something genuinely remarkable. Now, let's talk about the financial infrastructure that supports this lifestyle, because the numbers are genuinely staggering. Official expenditures for the royal household totaled around £106.7 million in the 2024 to 2025 reporting year, covering property, upkeep, staff, travel, and hospitality, with net expenditure at £85.2 million after supplementary income. This represents a slight decrease from £108.9 million in 2023 to 2024, reflecting cost-saving measures such as decommissioning the royal train and focusing on energy efficiency. The sovereign grant, which provides state funding for the monarchy, totals £132.1 million for the 2025 to 26 financial year, a a significant increase of £45.8 million, or 53%, from £86.3 million in 2024 to 25, driven by record Crown Estate profits. This comprises £51.8 million for core operations, £34.5 million toward the ongoing £369 million Buckingham Palace refurbishment, and additional household income of £21.5 million from visitor admissions and commercial activities. But here's the detail that often gets lost in discussions about royal finances. The true annual cost of the monarchy is closer to £510 million once security, travel, and other expenses are factored in. That's over £500 million per year to maintain the institution of which Charles is the head. The king's lifestyle revolves around multiple historic residences, with official expenditures on property maintenance totaling £41.2 million in 2024 to 2025, down from £47.0 million the previous year, due to phased reductions in Buckingham Palace's £369 million resurfacing program, which is 72% complete at £266.5 million spent. Key properties include Buckingham Palace as the primary residence with the East Wing reopened in 2025 for tours, Windsor Castle as the weekend retreat with £804,000 in roof repairs using recycled lead, and private estates like Balmoral and Sandringham, which are maintained from personal funds. Travel forms another significant part of the king's lifestyle, facilitating over 2,700 engagements annually, with expenditures totaling £4.7 million in 2024 to 2025, up 11.9% from £4.2 million due to international tours like the Australia/Samoa CHOGM visit at £401,000. To economize, the 156-year-old royal train was decommissioned in 2025, as maintenance costs outweighed usage, a rare concession to fiscal reality from an institution not typically known for penny pinching. Supporting the king's lifestyle requires a substantial staff, with payroll and associated costs at £34.0 million in 2024 to 2025, up 6.6% from £31.9 million due to 6.4% average pay rises and filling vacancies across 539 full-time equivalent positions. This includes £29.9 million in salaries, pensions, and insurance, plus £4.1 million for agency staff, training, and recruitment. And then there are the personal expenditures on luxury items that most people can only dream about. Charles maintains around 60 bespoke suits, each costing approximately £5,000, alongside 50 pairs of handmade shoes and shirts at £1,000 each, all maintained by dedicated staff members whose entire job is to ensure that the king's wardrobe remains in perfect condition.
In this, with the great diversity of our communities, we can find the strength to ensure that right triumphs over wrong. It seems to me that we need to cherish the values of compassion and reconciliation, the way our Lord lived and died.
A kingdom of wealth and legacy. When we step back and examine King Charles III's financial position within the broader context of global wealth, something remarkable becomes apparent. Among contemporary royals, King Charles III's personal net worth of around $747 to $850 million ranks him below oil-rich Middle Eastern rulers like Saudi Arabia's King Salman, estimated at $18 billion, and Brunei's Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah, estimated at $20 to $30 billion, whose fortunes stem from national resources rather than managed estates. Europe's richest living royal, Prince Hans Adam II of Liechtenstein, is many times richer than King Charles III, with Bloomberg reporting his net worth at approximately $12.7 billion through banking and investments. Monaco's Prince Albert II, at $1 billion, benefits from casino revenues. In contrast, Scandinavian monarchs like Sweden's King Carl XVI Gustaf at $70 million and Norway's King Harald V at $30 million have more modest wealth, reflecting egalitarian societies with transparent funding mechanisms. But here's where the comparison gets genuinely interesting. The British royal family collectively owns 6.6 billion acres of land worldwide, making them the world's largest landowners. That's more than 37 times as much land as the Walton family owns, more than what the Catholic Church controls with its 177 million acres. Much of this is symbolic Commonwealth holdings, land that the Crown technically owns but derives no meaningful income from. Yet the sheer scale of these holdings speaks to the historical reach of the British Empire and the lasting financial legacy it has created. Historically, Charles's wealth pales against ancient rulers whose empires generated incomparable riches through trade and conquest. Compared to current billionaires like Elon Musk at approximately $250 billion or Jeff Bezos at $200 billion, Charles's $800 million is genuinely modest. But his institutional assets, particularly the Crown estate valued at $20 billion, provide access akin to what corporate tycoons enjoy, even if those assets aren't technically his to sell or spend as he pleases. The Crown estate is a vast portfolio owned by the monarch in right of the Crown, but managed independently as a corporation sole, with all profits surrendered to the Treasury in exchange for the sovereign grant. Valued at £15 billion in 2023-24, it includes iconic London holdings like Regent Street, rural lands, and nearly half the UK's coastal seabed, generating £1.1 billion to £1.15 billion net revenue profit in 2024-25, primarily from offshore wind farm leases. This arrangement, where the monarch doesn't personally own the Crown estate but benefits from it through the sovereign grant, represents a financial structure unique in the world. It's neither fully public nor fully private, neither entirely taxpayer-funded nor entirely self-sustaining. It exists in a gray zone that has allowed the British monarchy to maintain extraordinary wealth while presenting itself as an institution that serves the public good. As Charles himself articulated in his first speech as monarch, his commitment to service runs deep, shaped by decades of watching his mother dedicate her life to duty.
That promise of lifelong service I renew to you all today.
The historical evolution of the monarchy's wealth system reflects centuries of negotiation between Crown and Parliament. The British monarchy's power has diminished significantly since the medieval era, when kings like Henry VIII controlled vast lands and revenues directly, to the constitutional monarchy established after the Glorious Revolution of 1688, which subordinated the Crown to Parliament. By the 19th century, under Queen Victoria, the role became symbolic, with wealth managed through parliamentary grants rather than feudal dues. Charles inherited this framework, where the monarch's wealth is intertwined with state assets, but profits are surrendered to the treasury in return for public funding. Unlike absolute monarchs of the past, Charles holds no veto power over legislation, but advises the prime minister weekly, maintaining a neutral stance on politics while wielding enormous soft power through his position. His personal wealth growth exemplifies how modern royals have adapted by commercializing estates while benefiting from tax exemptions, a system criticized for opacity and rooted in 19th century reforms. The voluntary payment of income tax on duchy profits since 1993 mitigates some concerns, but the lack of full transparency regarding undisclosed investment portfolios fuels ongoing debates over the true extent of royal wealth.
As the Queen herself did with such unswerving devotion, I too now solemnly pledge myself, throughout the remaining time God grants me, to uphold the constitutional principles at the heart of our nation.
Charles's reign represents a bridge between tradition and contemporary relevance. In October 2025, he became the first head of the Church of England to pray publicly with the Pope, nearly 500 years after King Henry VIII's break with Rome, a historic moment that highlighted his role as a monarch willing to build bridges across ancient divides.
A few weeks ago, the Queen and I were delighted to make a state visit to the Vatican, where we prayed with Pope Leo in a historic moment of spiritual unity. Together we celebrated the Jubilee theme, Pilgrims of Hope.
His coronation on May 6, 2023, the first in 7 decades, blended ancient rituals with modern inclusivity, reflecting the monarchy's adaptation to a diverse, secular Britain. Yet challenges remain. Nations like Jamaica are considering republicanism, and public scrutiny over costs continues during economic crises, echoing debates from the Victorian era about the monarchy's relevance. What does the future hold for the richest monarch in modern history? As of January 2026, with a sovereign grant review pending, Charles's reign may evolve toward greater transparency, potentially aligning the monarchy more closely with democratic values while preserving its historical wealth base. The royal family is edging toward modernity, but in 2026 the public will expect yet more transparency. Charles arrived at the throne as perhaps the most prepared monarch in British history, having spent 73 years watching, learning, and waiting. His wealth, accumulated over decades of careful management and bolstered by tax-exempt inheritances, positions him to maintain the institution he now leads without financial anxiety.
And, as every member of my family can testify, she combined these qualities with warmth, humor, and an unerring ability always to see the best in people.
Yet for all his billions, for all his palaces and staff and bespoke suits, Charles remains acutely aware of his position's ultimate nature. As he reflected on his childhood realization of being different from ordinary people, there was no joy in his voice, only the weight of understanding that some positions in life, no matter how privileged, carry burdens that money cannot eliminate.
It's something that dawns on you with the most ghastly, inexorable way.
The Trillionaire life of King Charles III is not simply a story about wealth, though the wealth is undeniably extraordinary. It is a story about duty, about legacy, about an institution that has survived for over 1,000 years by adapting to each new era while maintaining its essential character. Whether that institution, and the man who now leads it, will continue to thrive in an age of increasing skepticism about inherited privilege remains the defining question of Charles's reign. For now, at 76 years old, still exercising twice daily, still writing letters until 4 a.m., still carrying out more royal engagements than anyone else in his family while battling cancer, King Charles III continues the only job he ever prepared for, being king. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.